will you please welcome Rae Majors-Wildman.
So how many of you are looking to get more business now?
Right place. You're in the right place. So you heard a little bit about my background, so I'm not going to go in too much detail. But I have been trained by some of the best in the industry. I received my certification through the Bean Company as a certified coach. I also received my training through John Assaraf, and John is like amazing. If anybody want to learn about the mindset and literally how to transform your mind, he is the person to learn from. And then Chet Holmes, which most people don't know Chet. How many of you know Chet?
Yeah, we know Chet.
Yeah, there's very few people know Chet. How many of you know a man named Warren Buffett? Or Warren Buffett. Well, Chet was responsible for 7 divisions of Warren's partner, Charlie Munger. And he ran 7 of those divisions. Not only did he run them, but he consistently doubled their income 3 years running, which is amazing. I also had the great fortune last year to win an award for NABO, National Association of Women Business Owners, in the category of Rising Star, which just basically means it's a business to watch. My company is only 2 years old. And last year I also had the great fortune of writing my first book, The Juggling Act, which came about because I noticed that most entrepreneurs struggle with this juggling, this balance, or this life-work balance. And what we find is that I don't know, I'm sacrificing my family, and when I'm at home, I'm thinking about business, and when I'm at business, I'm thinking about all the things I should be at home, and don't even mention if you work from home. How many people work from home? Yes. So then instead of us doing things to generate our income, we're spending time, like doing laundry or picking up the kids or whatever. So this book came about because of that need I saw. But just as important as it is for you to know who I am today, I think it's even more important to know who I was. And I love this morning how Sandra set up this conference, because she talked about access, right? And she talked about authenticity. And so when I was 18 years old, I got married. And I married a Marine who decided that he wanted to beat me on a regular basis. And I remember the struggle, because no one in my family had ever been divorced, ever. As a matter of fact, I heard on a regular basis, you made your bed. Oh, you've heard that too. And so I found myself torn, wanting the approval of people. And I stayed in that relationship way too long. And it wasn't until I was laying in the hospital after being stabbed by my so-called husband that my father came to me and he said, Rae, you need to make a decision. He said, either you need to get out of the relationship, because if you don't, what's going to happen is either you're going to wind up killing him or he's going to kill you. And so I took my father's advice and I got divorced. Not only have I been divorced once, but I got divorced twice. When I was 22, I actually filed bankruptcy. It's interesting. I had to have emergency surgery, and I had no medical insurance. And they drove me to the hospital, and when I had the surgery, had the procedure, and I got my bill, it was $150,000. I was making about $5 an hour. And I'm thinking, I don't know how I'm going to pay this. So bankruptcy was my solution. And so I'm not here to talk about religion or politics, but I am sure that, when we talk about this medical crisis, there's a lot of people's lives that are destroyed because they don't have health insurance. Okay, I'm not going to say on that one. But I would say out of everything that I've experienced, the thing that probably was the most humiliating thing that I had to go through is when I had to get on welfare. You see, I was working, and I had my first son, and I was doing everything. I don't know if you've ever experienced that. It was like everything that I could, and it wasn't enough. And I remember there were days I would go hungry, just so I could feed him. And he would look at me and say, "Mommy, why aren't you eating?" And I said, "Oh, I'm okay, baby." And so I decided, you know what, I got to swallow my pride and do the right thing for my son. And I went and I applied for welfare. Interesting thing happened. When I went to apply, they said, you know, we would be more than happy to give you food stamps. However, we noticed that you have an asset. Like an asset? What are you talking about? I don't have money in my checking account and savings account. And they said, oh, you have a car. And I said, you mean the hoopty that I'm driving? And they said, yes. If you want food stamps, you need to sell your car. I'm not kidding. And then we will award you food stamps. So I had to sell my car to feed my baby. So obviously, after all of this, I probably had a little issue with self-esteem, you think? What I thought going through that is that there must be a better way. You know, I was doing something wrong, obviously. And I felt like I needed to know if I could just cross the bridge. You know, I was on this side of the bridge. If I could just cross over. You know, I was experiencing despair. I mean, as a matter of fact, there was a point in my life when I literally contemplated committing suicide. It had gotten that bad. And I asked myself the question. I said, you know what? I'm a good person. You know, I believe I deserve to be happy. I deserve to have a passionate, juicy relationship. I deserve that. How many of you feel like you deserve that? Yeah. And yet, I wasn't realizing that. I wasn't manifesting that. And so what I did is I said, you know what if there was a combination? Because obviously, I was doing something wrong, and there were other people who I didn't consider to be good people, not judging. But they had all of the abundance. So I figured something out. There is a combination. And with any lock, right, if you had the combination, and if I were to give you the numbers, would you be able to open that lock if you had the numbers?
Absolutely.
Perhaps. What would prevent you from unlocking the combination? So we hear, for those that are like, we're recording, fear of success, knowledge. Bingo. So I can have the right numbers, but if I don't put them in the right order, in the right sequence, in the right syntax, then the lock will not open. And I will challenge you today that many of you, that might be your challenge. You have the right numbers. You're just not doing it in the right order. And it's critical. Order, syntax is critical. So I opened my company. I was super excited. I left another coaching organization. I said, I'm going to start my own thing. I'm going to hang my own shingle. And I heard someone tell me that if you build it, y'all gotta see this face. They will come. So I built it. And month one, I was like, no clients. Month two, okay, we'll do some networking. 0. Month 3, my husband, soulmate, was like, so what you doing? You were making pretty good money working at this other company. No, we love our family, don't we? Yeah. So we'll talk a little bit about what I did to change that. But I love this quote. It says, "It takes many years to become an overnight success."